Jack's ban here, Jamada. As it's similar bans on EDG's side. They just want to get rid of that Graves against Wei.
Yeah, want to get rid of the Wei Graves. Graves, even though you don't see him too frequently, the players that are very adept at playing him will always find the spots to make the champion work. And yeah, I think taking that out of Wei's hands, one of his, in recent history, very, very powerful champs, just making sure he doesn't have it. Rise, of course, you've seen take over a game already today. Very, very powerful and plays into that, Tang Yuan kind of filling the old role of what Xiaohu would do. Roaming to sides, those semi-globals or full-on globals, really a lot of RNG's sort of team power, making sure that they can take some of that away from the mid lane.
It's interesting though, isn't it? Because we've had Angel who subbed in the last series, and we haven't seen him here today. This is the second game where it's been Tang Yuan, but I feel like both of them facilitate that role quite well. They've obviously felt comfortable enough with Tang Yuan to run him in the second game, but yeah, the global presence is what we know him for so far. As Rise might be one of the takeaways. Remember that the things like Lissandra, I'd even put him on Talia. I think we've also seen a Galio or two come out from him as well. So a lot of options there for RNG while they plan on banning away that bottom lane. They see that Ashe and they're like, no way, man. Are we letting that through again? With Maokai being a similar response by EDG, but this time not letting it be a first pick for RNG.
Yeah, and Lucian Nami is actually up and available in this draft. So I wonder if RNG are actually going to prioritize that with the Nami hover. And the Maokai being banned away, it kind of, obviously, it's not an option to be first picked anymore on the side of Wei, a takeaway from JJ from game number 1. So that's going to be Nami first picked, which of course predicates that we'll see Lucian come in at B2-3. So what will EDG actually like to try and run into this? Will they, kind of forego actually any bottom lane picks and try and pick up some very powerful top sides? Oh, Yuumi is up. I wonder if you just want to go... Yeah, I wonder if you just want to go Zeri Yuumi or Zeri Lulu and just neutralize the lane, because honestly, what I've seen a lot of in, practice really is Zeri Lulu kind of wins the Nami Lucian matchup. It's quite strange actually, where Nami Lucian doesn't really have enough like full-on commitment power to outright win the lane. They'll always get, a fairly sizable advantage where they'll hit the mid game in a very positive spot. But in pure isolation, I've seen a lot of Zeri Lulus actually just do fine. And of course, like you said, the Yuumi is also an option. It just kind of removes a lot of the laning power that Lulu can sort of bring in and sort of alleviate the pressure of the Nami. With the Wukong being locked in as well, I think if you go Yuumi, you're kind of asking to get Dovon, but of course Yuumi really does take the scaling aspect from 10 to 15, and it gets really obnoxious to lock down leave on this area if you get to that sort of 25 minute mark, and 3 items are there.
And look, man, it's LPL priority at the moment. Like, Yuumi is first pickable. I know in many regions you'd say the same thing. Pro players still think this champion is bonkers busted, and we tend to agree. I think the world tends to agree that, this cat is just really ruining the argument for dogs versus cats as well. Man, we got some good freeze rapes today too. But that same lane locked in once again. We have to look forward here, Jamada, because we don't have anything for the solo lanes of EDG. On the other side from RNG, you say the exact same thing. And when we're talking about Breathe versus Arla being this late in the draft, I think we might get to the lower end of things, because that's the most exciting matchup, and I hope it's not just going to be Cassante versus something boring.
Yeah, same. I kind of just whispered, Fiora ban. I feel like it should come through, but EDG are actually opting to take away some of Tang Yuan's sort of utility lockdown champions. First with the Lissandra, I wonder if they'll go towards the Galio in the end or not, because I feel like Galio is kind of an okay answer compositionally into JJ wanting to dive forward, and if EDG want to stack any more dive, Galio can kind of become a bit of a problematic champion, not only because he can already support Wei on the Wukong moving forward, but he can then also dissuade JJ ever going in, so we could actually see that one remove the Wei, as RNG on the opposite end looking to take away some lane shove and some very solid and consistent scaling in the Azir. We could just see them go towards another of those mages that bring a lot of brilliant wave clear. Something like Victor could also be a very solid ban here into Fofo if you want to take that one away, or an aggressive option like Sylas. And now that you see that the Kassadin has been banned away, that could also be something that you're eyeing up to ban away here as RNG.
It's interesting you mentioned something like Victor. Fofo is very lane focused as a player, and it suits him a lot. And I think something like the Azir as well is like a long time ban from RNG, knowing who Fofo is. It's been in the league for quite a while now, so with the targeted ban there, they also add one to Arla. The Fiora gets banned away. The biggest question is, what does EDG want to do with that? No, let's just hold off the phone there, because we know it's probably going to be something in the top lane here, leaving Fofo for the potential counter pick.
In the looks like they are going to give Fofo the counter pick, at least by the hovers. Though, you can never commit to hovers. You know, it's caster 101. You never talk about the hovers unless they're actually quite interesting options. As we've had this one for quite a while.
Do it, man.
All right, Fofo.
What a baller.
Wants to throw the gauntlet down. All right, but this does open up Galio as a really strong option for Tangyuan. That's my only concern with the pick. Lane counter, really, really strong. But of course, you know, just being able to provide the magic shield, the magic resist to a target being Dovon, it makes a lot of sense. It depends on what RNG and specifically Tangyuan want to kind of angle at. Ahri, very strong answer. Very hard to dive an Ahri as the Vi. You have to really be careful about how you commit to the champion. And Cassante as well, taken up by Breathe. You said you didn't want to see Cassante into something boring. Jake, I've got some bad news for you. We might be seeing it into something boring. We don't see Sion often, but what I will say, as I want to talk about this offer because I think it's a pretty solid pick here, there's not really too much tank busting capability on the side of RNG.
Oh, true.
So I think getting a free scaling lane here as the Sion and kind of just being a massive beefcake where you come out of laning phase of like 3,000 HP, it's going to be really obnoxious to ever kill this front line here on EDG, especially if Mako ever decides to attach himself to the Sion just for the sake of doing it. So I think EDG have rounded off their comp fairly well. They've got a very strong front line out of Arla, and of course, even JJ is going to provide some of that setup and front line for the rest of EDG. Fofo will do his thing. Expect Mako and Leave to kind of work as their own individual duo because RNG don't really have dedicated, you know, point-and-click lockdown. It's more about Wei, Gala, and Ming finding the angles to actually try and shut down Leave. So I think it's really going to be very execution-dependent on the side of RNG for our EDG, whereas for RNG, it is really going to be finding specifically Leave and then trying to make sure that he's taken off the board very quickly so that you can try and deal with the rest of these melee champions on EDG.
But let's be real. What you're telling me overall, though, is if we get to late game, no one's going to be able to deal with Sion. Akali and Zeri are going to have the greatest time because they're going to be able to destroy everyone. And I feel like Arla's pick has just set EDG up for a beautiful fighting later on, right? Is that the crux of it?
Yes.
Good. You know what? That's enough for me. Your yes signifies that Sion, big brain pick, even though it's going to be a pool noodle fight in the top lane. Guys, pool noodles can hurt in the end. Let's see how far it goes, though, because RNG, game number 1, it was very insignificant. Nothing happened that you could say was very positive for their look in this split. Remember that RNG as well have started 1 and 2. Right now, FPX are equal with this team. Right now, teams like Rare Atom are above them. OMG as well. IG, they're huge chats, you know. Like, we need a Giga YSK emote at some point, but...
You know, I'm new to the league, but they have the mojo, don't they, right now? IG.
They do. But RNG don't. That's the point, right? RNG need to show us a little bit of something, because Ming's now back, and we should expect a bit more strength from this team. However, EDG dismantled them in game number 1. Coming into game number 2, let's see if EDG can play this out. Or if RNG can, again, find those specific windows you were talking about. We do have Gala with Ignite in the bottom lane, by the way. Ming is rocking the heel down there. The crowd is just letting loose for our historic teams. Man, go for it.
I like you point out the Ignite. It's an adaptation we started to see at the very start of this year, but also towards the end of last year. And it just gives Lucian individually a little more kill agency. You know, he's going to be the one diving forward. It's never really going to be Ming, so being able to lay that Ignite in just makes a whole bunch of sense as Breathe. I mean, he's no Fiora or Jax, looking for some of these level 1 invade. We've seen that be a trend over the last couple of weeks. Seen it a lot from BDS's Adam. YSKM, you should know me as well. Deal. But not quite as much power at level 1. Sante, but just looking for some information, and he will have it. They'll know now that JJ is on his red buff, and will be clearing that top side before he makes it down towards the box. So RNG still getting it.
So what does JJ look for here in this early game, right? Is he a disruptor, or is he more playing the defensive role here for EDG? Just so the lanes go okay.
Yeah, I think the latter. I think he's looking to just kind of play man mark onto Wei, ensure that Wei doesn't get too many free opportunities to attack the lanes, because realistically, you know, we spoke about this bottom side matchup. Zeri, Yumi, I've seen get smashed a lot more by this Lucian Nami in comparison to having the Lulu in the slot, but it's the option that EDG went for. So I think as long as...
Oh,
that is aggressive.
What a leave. Leave is not leaving. Now Gala for the return trade as there's heal. Use Ignite in return as well. That's Barrier Ignite on the other side. That's 2 summoners for 2 summoners as Leave set that up with way down in the bottom side, but not committing to the play just yet.
Yeah, just getting a ward on the blue buff. Just make sure they can track. I think he walked over that Pixel Brush ward anyway, and it's going to clip him on vision as it expires. A very Jackie Love-esque dive forward from Leave now.
Hello.
Forward. JJ is actually spotted on that ward as Way goes over the wall. A very, very intricate dance of vision and the junglers trying to find their way around it as the front lane trains continue. But I think the first move here is going to be Way. He's going to get over the wall, right? Warrior trick stuff. So he's here for the gang.
Doesn't see him, and now they do. Mako and Leave. They're going to do exactly that. Get out of this lane as Way is picking a target right now. JJ hovering on the wing as Way jumps on in, but there's no good follow-up here from Ming. Of course, he's low on mana too, so Leave and Mako just waste the time of Way.
Yep. Not too bad. I think Way just looking to be proactive, right? And we said JJ just at the very least wants to kind of man mark, be on the same side, and he was there to cover that gang, just in case there was some kind of real full-blown committal. Because now his blue buff's going to get attacked, but I think they're just going to settle for the skull. I don't think they actually know JJ doesn't have Smite. So that Smite has been committed by Way, which he'll have back up at around the same time as JJ. They might actually see a blue buff invade continue.
Again.
You have to look at the lane priorities, right? Fofo is never really going to be able to move first in this. Tangyuan has that first move. He's pushing up that lane quite high, and Ming are already there to support. So really, really nice aggression coming out of RNG. And already a much better start, in my opinion, in terms of having a little more direction, right? Having a little bit more of a clear goal in terms of what they want to do. And right now, it just seems like trying to set JJ behind so he can't, you know, try and start to snowball at the very least the likes of Fofo, or maybe Leave and Mako in bottom side.
And it's crazy to me because, I mean, again, RNG, I don't see them as a very directionless team, right? But we question that a lot in game number 1. Game number 2, so far, as you're saying, that sets up for Way to now get this early back, do his top side clear, maybe look for one of these lanes where we did talk about him being the more proactive of the junglers. Right now, JJ is getting a spot out here onto Way as he does his blue side jungle. We'll just be going back up to his Krugs and continuing his own path as well. Just note to what you said that Fofo won't be able to help out if anything happens between the junglers, not at least until he gets level 6. Sakali free 6. Not going to be able to do too much here in this game.
No, but when Akali does hit level 6, and honestly, the power of that level up is so insane.
Well, there it is again. Ignite. Oh, the Aqua Prison! Gala flashes! Double auto Ming! He flashes for it. The auto doesn't connect, and Gala and Leave are both on pennies of health right now as we get the all out in the top lane. Ala flashes away. Now, is he level 6 or is he going to get close to Sion with the Ram Jam? That's just what I'm waiting for, is Breeze not getting the next knock up, and over multiple lanes, still no first blood.
I think if Reaver's a little bit more patient there on that Q3, I'm not sure what the cooldown fight was. I think he could have maybe found an angle to actually bring Ala all the way down into the river, a knock back towards the wall, into an R into it and over. But either way, still finds the flash, still an advantage in the top side for him individually, and in the bottom side, so close. Ming flashes forward, doesn't quite find lethal. Leave and Mako really playing with fire. I think Barrier and Ignite were both seconds away from coming up. We'll get a look at the HUD on the bottom side, and you can kind of see the timer ticking very, very quickly, which means that's, what, 5 seconds away from being on cooldown. Give or take maybe 6, 7. Oh, that flash forward not quite enough, and if Mako had Ignite to maybe kill Gala, that's a trade that goes in the favor of EDG. But still, you can see Gala and Ming really want to get aggressive, right? They're trying to push the innate lane advantage that a Nami Lucian should have. But right now, Mako and Leave, they're being stalwart into the fence.
And they've got a summoner advantage now as well, Jamada. We've got 3 here for EDG's bottom lane, 1 for RNG, and it's only the heal. So flashless there, while Leave, remember, is given a free backseat to Mako. So as long as he has flash, there is safety here for Mako as well.
It's just fun. I just hate you. Everyone hates you.
Oh, yeah.
Just the
I'm honestly, in my life, like, I was looking at getting a cat. I think I didn't buy a cat because of Yumi. As Ala, the pain train to the bottom lane. We've seen this in solo queue many times.
What's great is if they hear it go off, they're going to think, oh, he might just be owing back to lane, just cheating a little bit of tempo. Then he shows up in your face. It's such an annoying roam, and it's very unique to Sion. There's not really too many top laners that can
get the angle,
make this play. We've got the Observer Pad, which really makes me believe that they're going to do it.
Oh, he's doing it. Okay, Ram Jam, and Thank you, ma'am. Into the turret. It doesn't hit, but Ming takes the damage. The reverse Q as Ming is still alive. Gala shifts back.
Oh my God.
RNG are so lucky, and JJ dying. A 1-for-1. That was so messy as Wei gets decimating smash. Arla brings it on back, but my God, that could have been cleaner.
That could have been a lot cleaner from the EDG side. I still like the idea. The only issue is now on the top side, Farouk's getting free plates here, and that's what, 350 gold. That's so much gold to give to Kasante at the expense of actually individually not getting anything on the side of Farouk. So he's going to feel kind of bad about it, but either way, look again at this replay and just a nice little sidestep from Gala. The angle attempt from Arla to find his mark, and he tries to go for the Q2. Or Q rather, onto Gala instead of just kind of killing Min, which unfortunately means that JJ has to trade his life as Wei gets interrupted there on the Warrior Trickster invisibility. At very least Gala does prevent any kind of aggression being retaliated.
Look, Arlo, we know, won't have that ultimate for a little while now. Breathe might be trying to play aggressive in the top side because of it, but because of that play, EDG, I believe, were able to get first blood there first. Went over to JJ, but you look at who got it in return. Ming got it there, Jamada. Ming got it, meaning Nami is going to be closer to getting Imperial Mandate, which is one of the biggest support buffs, or rather, first item buffs, out of anyone in the game. So, still very significant here for RNG, while it looks like a dragon for Rift Herald trade happening right now.
Admittedly, honestly, I think Mandate, the damage, the additional burst damage you can get from it is borderline kind of criminally underrated. I feel like, you know, you get hit. You get hit by Nami Lucian combo, you're not really thinking about the Mandate damage, you're just looking at Lucian, like, you know, having 50 magic damage on each war attack he has. But you get the idea, mixed in with all that physical, and you just kind of get clubbed over the head. All that comes from the Mandate, so like you said, getting the kill, not too bad. Going back to the macro aspect, as you mentioned, Herald will go over two-way in RNG. I feel like the obvious answer is it has to go to Gala and Ming, because you need to get these guys in a position where they can one-shot in the mid-game, right? Bringing Gala and Ming into the mid lane and then using the mid lane priority they should gain to get first move to side lane to objectives is going to be pivotal. So expect Wei to put a lot more focus on the bottom lane for the next couple of minutes. And, you know, he opened out on the bot side, so here you go. He's going to look for something at the very least.
Got that W and ulti. We haven't seen a Cyclone yet, but he's also got Flash available. So keep in mind that if this is a successful play down bot, it'll end up with Herald as well. Breeze gets a nice knockback. The all-out. Take him to Narnia. Oh my God, he's met with the White Witch first, and unfortunately, Turkish Delight is a bit of a lure. The knockback doesn't come through. Arla is managing to get out of there safely. Still has the ulti for his own turnaround, but we look back to the bottom lane because RNG are trying to make the play. Wei's coming in, but now over a ward with culling at max range. RNG failing on both sides of the map.
Yeah, I mean, on the side of Breathe, he's still going to have a fair amount of pressure, but definitely I'll pull the bottom side play much closer to a fail. And I think even if they do commit, JJ is in the wings and ready and waiting. And again, I think he's just fulfilling his role in this game perfectly. Sure, you know, the dive, which he had to commit to because EDG were committing to it as a whole, did see him die. But I think the fact that he's been able to stave off away from these side lane plays, in particular the bottom side plays, it's been so crucial to just allowing Leave and Mako to, you know, scale to a point where they're really comfortable. That recall does go through, but again,
get rid of that
ward. Get rid of the ward, but Wei and Tangyuan's not going to be able to commit to a dive, right? And if they really felt like the dive was going to continue, they've got more vision to track it in that slide rush. That Tommy's not going to interrupt the recall of Mako, and JJ could have just opened back out onto the map onto the bottom side and wait for the take it to crash. So EDG just playing this out fantastically. Their scaling aspects are going to come online.
Yeah! Just ran past it. Well, that was a weird interaction. Arlo just getting to lane because DP was already burned down. Make sure that you don't miss a cannon. I was going to come back and tell you that, you know, what you said to me in draft as Fofo tries for a bit of all in here. Charm misses. Look at Fofo's feet. I was going to say footwork, probably the better term. I was going to come back and ask, you know, with compositions in front of us, you already told me that things like the Zeri, the Yuumi here as well, like how this game goes with the damage output against Arla. Things must be looking good here for EDG in the early game, only being down 800 gold and having a dragon to make it slow.
Yeah, I think game state in consideration, EDG, you know, they're down 1,000, but in reality, they're still, you know, even. You could even argue maybe ahead, right? And the fact that Leave is very comfortably gone to his Mythic without really being pressured by Gala and Ming too heavily. And like you say, Ala on the top side, scaling for free. So without him being forced out consistently or, you know, being put behind, again, there's no true tank buster on RNG side. And of course, as any champion would do, if he steps up too far forward, he might get blown up. But I just don't really see it happening. And I think, again, EDG have just played this one out excellently, and they're very comfortable.
Dude, they're in a bottom lane with Lucian Nami, and they're equal in CS. In fact, Immortal Shieldbow was picked up first here by Leave. After all the pressure that's come through bottom lane from RNG, yeah, it is a blessing, as Herald will go mid and at least try for another lane now. Try and get some gold over to Tang Yuan, as Fofo can't really stop this, so at least some more damage on that mid lane outer turret. But it's not going to be timed up here with the Dragon Jamada, because that's coming up in a minute. And remember that RNG did get the first one. Excuse me, EDG did get the first one.
But I mean, it's still like a throwaway, right? Like, again, you want to get Gala and Ming to a point where they can actually get their Mythic and that Mandate. I'm going to hold the point anyway. It seems like it will eventually happen.
Oh, tidal wave missed though, but here comes the shock down. The flash from Leave goes over the top of the Aqua Prison now with the ultimate use. Gala just taken out of the equation. Cyclone comes in, Leave trying for the heal, but it's not enough. Now for someone new to mount on. Mako needs a friend. Kill cats, that's what I say. And Dog's inadvertently better as double kill goes over to Tang Yuan. Fofo comes in for his execution, but takes no one to the gallows. Instead, it's RNG finally getting something out of this bottom lane.
It finally is, and it's just Fofo being a little bit further behind the Tang Yuan on the play. And you have to imagine if the Kali is actually there at the same time, it's not exactly Fofo's fault. He can't move first in this matchup, ever. But I think the fact that RNG, commit the extra number faster just means that they can at the very least trade. He can Leave, man. Leave so confident to just step forward because he knows JJ is going to be here first. It's an effective 3v2 until the mid-jungle can actually make their mark on the skirmish. The reattach can't come through from Mako because he gets interrupted, well, outside by Wave. Cycle. Pokemon, unfortunately, can't find lethal anyone here. Just has to fight out and back away. But you can see the damage available to him. Definitely nothing to scoff at. And that's just going to get scary, this Derek, as well. So I think trading effectively evenly, to be honest with you, even though they go 2 for 1, EDG not going to be fussed about that, and they could even turn around here onto Wei.
Oh, they found Wei. Yeah, it's on the control ward as well, so he can't be seen, or rather can be. Has to flash away after using the mirror image. Sorry, they're playing a bit of Warcraft 3 as we get RNG. They might get top lane Tara, but it looks like they're going to lose the second dragon, so the scaling continues. RNG might be up 3,000 gold, but as Jamada said, things need to be a lot better at this point. But looking at top lane, I guess happened while we were dancing somewhere else. Did Ala die?
No.
Oh no, flashes over the wall.
He's alright.
He's 0-0-0, that makes sense.
And, again, gold lead, it's in RNG's favor. So what we can start to talk about is RNG now, I think, once the Anthem's down, there you go. Gale Force Mandate is there, so they can start to leverage this. However, EDG are leveraging how powerful Leave is. And that's an interrupt.
Tang Yuan in trouble. The ultimate, though, doesn't go off, and Decimating Smash avoided as well. Breathe now here. It's like an episode of Yu-Gi-Oh! But the Exodia paths weren't connected for that top laner. First kill, or rather death of the game, and RNG's play ends up turning back over to EDG favored.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess Wei did pick up that Rift Herald on the top side. So a trade can eventually come through, but, second dragon earlier picked up by EDG, it's going to be a Hex Tech Soul. So if that gets snowballed into, honestly, EDG are going to feel great about that. And, the nature of RNG's composition wanting to kind of move forward, it's going to get hampered by the Hex Tech slow, the chain slow.
Look at this trap guard.
Yeah, as JJ interrupt the initial dash. Really nice one. They went to Sonya's, the initial ultimate. Like I say, Zodia not fully compiled together there. JJ is able to walk out. Healing provided by Mako. And all in all, clean play for EDG. They get the tower, and they walk out with the kill.
And guess what? Gold will never to leave. Second item almost built up. He's keeping on track with Gala here on this Lucian, so still, you're looking towards that 3 item series as per usual in any League of Legends broadcast, as now they're moving up towards the top side. Looks like Leave is just clearing a camp while Jeje and Mako are syncing up a little bit more. And it's because Dragon's not up for 3 minutes. It's because the Herald comes up a little bit sooner, or rather the Baron, I guess, at this point, because we have already experienced the second Herald. And Jamada, that is actually sitting in the inventory of Wei, to correct myself. So Wondering how RNG try and build up the tempo in this game and make this mid game really theirs when they need it.
Bottom side, where you can drop it. See, Ala is coming to cover this. He's looking for Tangyuan. He's not going to find him. He'll eat a charm in response. And the reason why I say the bottom lane is, in my opinion, I feel like that mid lane tower should drop for free. It's so low already that surely Gala and Ming, just as a duo, they should be able to slowly chip away at this. Maybe on any time it's a cannon wave. I think a regular wave might get cleared away kind of quickly. Also, am I going crazy or what?
Nah, you're hearing it, bro.
Yeah,
We're back in the same bug that's been there for 3 years. I don't know what dictates it, but I love the ringing in my ears.
Yeah, I guess Zhonya's is so powerful. It just
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Why no one's used the stopwatch here, right? Like, I would get it if a stopwatch got used here like earlier.
I thought Tangyuan used his bot.
So.
So.
Yeah. I don't know how that bug still exists, but hey, EDG, I think they're a bit angry with it maybe. Stepping forward.
They are. We are 5-manning mid. We are 5-manning mid from both sides. We are A-ramming again. Great charm though. Beautiful stuff. Leaf goes to half HP, but he still has a Yuumi on top of him. Everything pretty much is up apart from Ala's ultimate at this point. Feels like RNG, or rather EDG, Jamada, are waiting for that so they can charge head first.
Yeah, I think they recognize they just want Leaf to be strong. Or they just want to go now.
Journey. Gala uses everything to get out. JJ is now under turret on the opposite side, but it won't stop them. EDG found the kill on the AD carry. Sleep is the next target, but Ala is the fridge magnet. My God, just call him Arnold Schwarzenegger right now. As Reed and Ming are running for their lives while Tangyuan tries to recover the play. But Arnie told us he would be back, and there he is. Ming can't escape this one. Boy, you better believe EDG are back in charge.
Oh, EDG, full control. And again, it feels like we've been ramping up to this point for the last 5-10 minutes. RNG just haven't been as sharp as I feel like they need to be with this Nami Lucian. And sure, you can use everything in the world you want, but eventually Vi is going to catch up to you, and Fofo will happily try and find the execution. He'll actually end up going to leave as he kites back from all of this engage from Wei, from Breathe. But unfortunately, there's just not enough burst damage, and the healing, shield bow, everything stacked on top of each other means that Leave effectively has, 2 health bars instead of just 1. And RNG can't find their mark, and even if they kill him, frankly, Fofo, JJ, they would have just turned around and killed everyone else, and they pretty much do. Yeah. As the Herald, it comes in eventually in the mid lane, a bit of desperation, right, to just trade the tower. But EDG, once this gold difference drops in the middle of the screen, you'll see Leaf should have 2 items. He's going to be really ready to fight. He's just missing the summoners, and they're turning around.
Well, the TP coming through is dangerous. Well, Gala stepped up to this. Gala, why? Leaf gets the kill as Fofo jumps back on, and this Akali, an absolute ninja. EDG have already found the first pick as Ala is thinking about going back in. Of course, another decimating smash, but RNG with numbers disadvantage. This is third dragon. RNG trying to think, do we get mid lane turret? Do we try and contest? They're a man down either way.
Yeah, exactly right. And I think the fact that Gala is one of the stronger points of the composition being able to burst down.
Oh my God.
Someone get Valves on the phone. You're seeing that.
Who's got the biggest six back right now? Is it? I don't know. I'm not sure if we see that Barca six pack, but good question.
I'm sure he's hitting the gym on the side. All right.
Anyone who plays
how else can he hit so hard on the side? But like, taking it back to game, I mean, we'll talk about the replay first. RNG just can't get forward onto the targets they want, and the turnaround is just there, right? It's so hard to engage into Yuumi and then also have a Vi pick apart your AD carry so easily. And RNG, again, anytime they have an opportunity to return around when EDG start to disengage, it's just not possible as Leave actually oversteps.
Well, I'm not sure what happened. We're going to have to get contact for that because Mako's now left on an island. Running to mount someone. Is he getting through? No, Breeze won't let him as Fofo tries to cover the play on the Gala. Does so! He did this in a 1v3. Now on Tangyuan, he will be dropping down, but 2-2! There's Ala flying through. Sion does it best. Pop up the Jinx. And that's a recovery here with 3 for 3 dead. Now we're talking.
All right, that's the LPL I know and love. I mean, Leave must have just stepped up a little too far. There's no reason he could end up in between tier 1 mid lane entrance and the tier 1 itself. It looks like Ala And JJ try and just pick up this tower. Demolish should be enough.
He doesn't care, bro.
He just
It's literally a fridge, man. French
killing
doors got the work. No one is. You said in draft, but Leave was looking for the turret. Look how deep he was, Jamada.
Yeah, what can I say other than he was just feeling himself a little bit too well. As Breed brings Mako back, execute him basically, or have Gala execute him, but Fofo, it's just so hard to lock him out. There's no real point of CC to stop Fofo from doing Akali things. And Breed eventually gets knocked down by the absolute unit, fridge, train that Allah is. Yeah.
Jamada, have you heard on YouTube, this is for everyone at home right now.
Okay.
You know, there's Thomas the Tank Engine, right? And that's got a bit of feeling to it. But there's the Biggie Smalls featuring Thomas the Tank Engine remix.
Oh,
if anyone's seen that, man, that's Allah right there in this game. He's now going to force it to nature.
I'm a personal fan of the DMS remix, personally. Oh, yeah. That one's also quite good.
That's cool. There's a lot of them, surprisingly. they're very, very valid for this game. Biggie does it justice for me. For some of you out there who haven't seen it, please do yourself a favor, get ready, play it next time Allah's there. Is Leave. Good namesake for that situation, considering Breathe and Way were looking for him. RNG, in fact, going pretty deep around this Baron. Jamada, they're setting up Vision, trying to get a pick on EDG to bring themselves into, I guess, a much stronger late-game start, where they've still got fed members. RNG just need that pick to get rolling again.
Yeah, I think if they can, if they can take down Leave, then I think the damage profile of EDG, it collapses greatly. But again, you still have to worry about, the prolonged team fighting of trying to find Fofo and lock him down. And JJ, Vi is an excellent bruiser, regardless of whether or not she's got all of the, true bruiser items. Yeah, this looks interactive, right? I think Allah is very happy stacking this for us. And so is Breed. That's all that's going on here.
Yeah. Just same items, by the way, as well. Cloth armor's the only difference, where Breathe is identical at the moment otherwise. EDG will walk into River, so Breathe also backed away. But now that mid lane turret's gone, it looks like EDG trying to play off the fact that they've got a bit of vision control in this Baron. They'll clear out the rest of RNGs. And guys, we're just going to chill for an extra minute. See what happens here. See if EDG can try and force RNG towards this Baron. Seems like the answer's no, as Breathe is going deep for this leap. Oh, he failed the E. If RNG saw that, man, he was in big trouble.
Yeah, I think they just thought he still had it, so very fortunate that happened out of vision. Now, I actually think Leave should have the Infinity, and that's what he's recalling for. And at 3 items, I mean, again, I cannot really, make the point any more important. RNG have to kill Leave, otherwise he is going to maul everyone on RNG. No one has the armor to deal with a 3-item AD carry right now, especially not a Zeri with a Yuumi on their back. So RNG, they need to find a pick before the fight itself actually kicks off, or it has to be Leave that gets picked.
It's going to be onto JJ, looking for the charm, but doesn't hit. Instead, the re-engage comes through, EDG go flying, and Gala once again is the target. Fofo runs in as well. He's not escaping, as Ming is now the next target. Fofo is unleashed on this Akali now too. Taking on the world. We don't even need to talk about Thomas. It's called Thomas and Friends for a reason. That's all out in the back line. Breed trying to bring it on back, but RNG just don't have the numbers. Zeri does Zeri things while Fofo's cut down. And RNG are left in misery. As over the wall, Leaf continues to find his mark, and Breed right against the wall will be ace. Edward Gaming stands strong in their rivalry against RNG.
EDG want to take that also coveted rivalry belt home today, and they want to do it in a 2-0 fashion. They're going to get the Hex Tech Soul, must be dive into the replay, and as soon as that charm misses, it's just go, go, go for EDG. And again, as Gala, what do you do here? You just can't play the game. There's a Yuumi on the buy, you're getting rooted, then knocked up, then an Akali's on your face. Ming does his best to heal for his AD carry, but Akali is just too strong to deal with, and all the while, Leave was just left unattended to do whatever the hell he was doing for the first 10 seconds of that team fight. Eventually comes through with the cleanup and the shutdown and gets the chase down onto Breathe. RNG just don't really have any options left, it feels like. The scaling is fully online now for EDG, and again, it's grasping at straws, right? Looking for picks, and if they can't find them, RNG are just going to lose the straight up 5v5.
And we've got to talk about RNG in this game again. Like, the early game decision making a little bit better, but missing their windows, Jamada. There's something to be talked about. Gala having a really bad mid game. He's 1-6-5, and for sure behind the curve from Leave. And has been really, I'd say, at the laning phase. Was only ever even, never ahead. So really rough to talk about this bottom lane where EDG have been taking control, and now you can see waiting for a pick. They've got Hextech sold, so that slow's going to be a pain, that extra damage. EDG going to play off the back of it, and Jamada try and end it here for a 2-0 off of one pick.
Yep, definitely be very plausible with how strong EDG are. I think that's going to look towards the Baron. And I think realistically, you just draw RNG into a bad fight. You start out, and here's what's going to happen. JJ will queue backwards, or he's not even on the Baron pit itself. He's just going to ask someone, Mako's going to get on his back, and whoever gets R is probably going to die. Let's see how it unfolds. RNG have to check this, otherwise they just give him Baron.
Whoa. Control ward there where Fofo's standing. You all see it. Fofo in the perfect place. They have no clue where he is. Now for the Baron. It's just going to come in for the smite. No steal. No. It's EDG with an easy take. It's Fofo now behind enemy lines. And guess what? They're on top of Tangyuan this time. Way off on the side. They're isolated. And RNG. You don't have numbers advantage here. Picked apart at the seams, man. It started talking about Thomas the Tank Engine. And it's ending talking about Arnold Schwarzenegger shotgun everyone on this Zeri-Yumo combo.
It really is. I mean, there's just nothing that RNG can do about this. And it kind of feels bad. Wei's putting in so much work, disrupting a lot of the backline, but there's just no one to follow up on the damage. Whether it's Tangyuan getting caught out at the very start of this fight, or Gala basically not being allowed to play the game throughout. You'll see what I'm talking about, right? We're taking focus away from what's a very obvious one-shot onto the Ahri. Way by so much time, look at the backside. Ming, Gala, Reef, they can't step forward because Fofo is so scary. They know if they even, overstep by an inch, Fofo's just going to go in, perfect execution, and there's going to be not too much of a strong answer. And RNG left tails between their legs. Baron, Soul, basically everything in the EDG back pocket. Now looking to take that final inner and then look to break the base off the back of this Baron.
Well, it's been a nice ride from EDG this game. 4,000 Baron power play, by the way. So much gold given over. So easy it seems for EDG to pick apart the pieces. And RNG to defend this is going to require a miracle, being that far down. Arla steps up first. This guy taking no damage. Probably wishes he did, He's so powerful. He's like One Punch Man. Kind of wants a bit of a challenge here, but Arla's just not being given it as 5 members hold up towards mid. No sideways being reacted to right now. Instead, it's just EDG brute forcing, keeping that cannon alive, and being a pain in the side. They have no rush for this game. They are completely and utterly chilling on the beaches of Hawaii at this point.
Yeah. Looking to get whatever.
Oh yeah!
Oh, it's about special.
The run-up, baby! Just run into whoever's there. It's unstoppable for Breeze, but again, he's taking up turret. It doesn't matter. Fofo goes in pretty deep for 2-man knockup. In the meantime, RNG have a chance here, but look, gets in the backline with a cease and desist while Arla runs back in. He's ready for round 2 as Jeje will still die. RNG have gotten one within their base. Breeze still with the all-out. Remember, he has a mana bar in that ultimate that he can play with, but chooses not to take it. Instead, the inhibitor goes down. Arla backs in their faces, but Jeje maybe went a bit too ham.
Jeje a little bit too overzealous. Is there a deep teleport? There is. Breeze is looking for Leave and Mako. Yeah. My only concern is I'm pretty sure they... Oh, well,
follow him.
He is out. And now, Elder, 60 seconds time. It's the only way that EDG can mess this game up is giving RNG the Elder. But they are so far ahead. Surely not, right? Hysterics? Surely not.
Surely not. Well, crazy things have happened in the LPL, but again, I just come back to you talking about damage output for a Zion. It just feels near impossible. EDG are going to channel up. They've got a drain on their team, and they're deciding to take their own. This is 4 members moving down towards Dragon. It's got 45 seconds. Top left-hand side, I know it's a bit confusing, guys, but top left-hand is Elder, top right-hand is Baron. And 35 seconds till that Elder spawns mean EDG are getting vision priority nice and early, and it's just covered in their wards with RNG being shut out to the top.
Darkness is going to be suffocating for RNG to walk into. They've already been struggling to have any kind of a foothold. Walking into fog, to get Zion knock up, to then get immediately violated, anything like that. It's so spooky. And EDG are just playing very far up now. they know they need to keep RNG as far away from the pit as possible so they can't establish any kind of foothold anywhere. And they're doing that very, very successfully.
So that one ward means something here. Hasn't been cleared away as of yet, and EDG just aren't doing that control ward there, so finally spotted out. Cleared out as Arla is dealing with Breeze. He's going to be a one-man army in this rush. Look at him go. Ming gets poked out by the ultra laser. Bofo's angle is beautiful. Now cleaning house just as a matter of doing the chores. Wade tries to get something, but look at RNG scatter to the wind as Jez engages to be beautiful as well. Arla flashed over for this monkey. And now the zoo has been constructed with EDG caging the rest of RNG. It may not be humane, but that's life.
Beautiful is the circle of life. Hysterics, and in this version of it, EDG are beating RNG 2-0 in this series. RNG just did not have any semblance of control.
Dude, they did nothing, it feels like, in this series for the most part. In the old school rivalry, EDG hold true and move themselves up to a comfortable position in the LPL, sending RNG to 1-3, moving up to 2-1 themselves.
Really, really powerful for EDG. Very, very on the ball today, has to be said. I think, especially Game 2 in comparison to Game 1. I think once it clicked for EDG in Game number 1, they looked great, but in Game number 2, it felt like it was from the very get-go. They understood what they needed to do, and it was shut down Gala come the mid game. Once, you know, RNG were kind of set up to maybe utilize some of their stronger parts of their composition, EDG just said, hell no. They put Mako on the Vi and just said, send it. And every time that Gala got ultimated by the Vi, you also have the lockdown of the Yuumi ultimate and everything else that follows from Fofo. It was pretty much unplayable for the Lucian that game, and I think as soon as Lucian can't play the game, the rest of the comp kind of falls to the wayside because they need that burst damage to function.
They really did, and again, it's such a smart pick. Talk about it in draft being so crucial to this game, and we just got to a point where, okay, RNG are not really scaling up on damage anyway. Tangyuan getting some early kills, but honestly felt like they were doing nothing with the Ari's early lead. And, you know, RNG, it has to be said, it has to come back to the core point. Is this team directionless without Xiaohu? Is RNG really just, you know, a team that was Xiaohu's all along, right? He started in the mid lane, went to top lane, won MSI, by the way, in both roles, but with such a big voice, with such a big part of the direction of Royal Never Give Up. You're looking at RNG here with Tangyuan, and while trying to facilitate a similar role, Jamada, they've started 1-3, and this team seems like already, even with Ming back, it's not in the same way it was before.
No, and you know, I think there's a lot to speak about coming out of the series, and of course the big point to take home is, yeah, man, RNG do look like a team lost, you know, without that, you know, clear guidance I feel like we've seen them have in the past. I think it can always be found quite quickly. I think there's ways to work around it at the very least, you know, at baseline level in draft, just, you know, very easy to execute, front to back,
Sure.
easy engage comps, things like that, that just scale up, right? But I think at the moment, if they're not doing that, then they're likely going to struggle. And I think EDG just really put them to the sword in this series, right?
Yeah.
I think RNG want to look and play like the way that EDG played today. That's the kind of version of RNG that I would like to remember, is the RNG that, sure, can sometimes have very slow, you know, and at times almost too calculated of an early game, but come into the mid game swinging and very, very happy to actually look for engages. That's what we saw out of EDG. We didn't get that out of RNG today.
And it, you know, play towards your win condition to further that point, right, where they have a clear understanding of what that may be. Early game, we knew how this team had to get rolling. We knew that Arla was going to be a big threat because the damage later on just wouldn't be there to penetrate that tank. And again, we didn't see use much with the Ari. We didn't see use much with, you know, Gala and Ming in their bottom lane. They got a bit of attention, but it never felt like they were able to curb stomp the Zeri Yuumi combination. So it's really sad to see when you have such talented players, which, you know, again, 4 of these guys won MSI. Yeah, Breathe. Pretty sure Breathe was on the roster if I'm not mistaken. So,
yeah,
like we are amidst an RNG that once had this huge piece of fame that now is lacking direction. And again, a 1-3 start, Jamada, is really rough because this team also, by the way, if I look at their schedule, JDG's up next. And even in this form, I'm like, WE's up after that. And WE are actually middle of the pack right now. Are they going to be too much for RNG? Because RNG, they either win 2-0 as they did against OMG at the start, or they lose 2-0. They don't have any in between, and I'd look at those games with a lot of fear if I was them.
Yeah, I think, there is maybe something to be said of the strength of schedule that RNG have had to put up with so far, but it can only really defend the play that you actually see on the Rift, right? So much. So I think RNG definitely needs to do a little bit of soul searching. Like you say, JDG up next for them. It's not going to get easier with that series, but moving away from the negatives and the struggles of RNG, I think definitely time to celebrate EDG. Especially after, I think roster changes, which a lot of people were concerned about with the overall, perceived strength of EDG. I think continuing to prove that this iteration of EDG is still nothing to be toyed with, and they're very much capable. Sure, they had a bit of a rough look into IG, but I think very much clearly showing us that they are capable of, at the very least, being a very traditional LPL team, right? Very much happy to just pull the trigger whenever it looks like it makes sense. And as a unit and as a team, just committing to a play. And they did that very consistently here, and it showed.
And again, it's great for EDG considering they are running new players here, where a lot of the time that's been the issue in the LPL. But I will say, we've got an interview standing by with one of those new players in Leave to hear his thoughts on that series.
Hello there, welcome to Post-Game Interview. I'm Christina. We're joined by Liv, the ball laner for EDG. There were so many historical stories between these two big organizations, and congratulations on your victory. Did you expect a very clean 2-0 victory? 恭喜我们的 EDG 拿下了今天比赛的胜利。那么 EDG 和 RNG 的比赛也是大家共同期待的共进巅峰的对局。在今天这场比赛之前，你有没有预料到会是以2-0干净利落的结束比赛呢？
昨天晚上的时候，我们教练都跟我们说，我们会以这个神之 BP 来结束今天。最后的结果也比较圆满吧。
The last night, our coach just said we will win this matchup because our special and amazing draft, and really we did it. The second question, I really want to touch on the game one because I think game one was very solid in early to mid game. But how did you guys manage to control all of Drakes and win those late game team fights? 那么今天的第一局比赛前中期可以说是都是非常的稳健，双方都是互相点到为止。但是 EDG 是如何在运营的过程当中控到了所有的龙，并且你们在后面那两波团战都是非常顺利的打败了 RNG。
我们控到龙的原因是因为我们回身时机抓的比对面好吧？我们抓到了对面没状态的时候开龙的龙。
那最后面的那几波团战是怎么打败 RNG 的呢？
最后面几波团战队友开蓝开得好吧？
The reason why we can control all of Drakes is just because we find a perfect timing. When we saw RNG recall, we just made some shot caller to secure the dragon. And in last team fight, we really did a great job and find a really great timing. And all of my teammates performed pretty good in that team fight. And I really want to touch on the game two because we saw RNG picked a very aggressive draft and they played very aggressively early to mid game. How did you guys manage to stabilize the situation? And you really did a great job in those team fights on Derry. 那么在第二局的时候 ，RNG 好像选出了一个比较激进的阵容，他们在前中期的时候也是频繁做事。但是我们可以看到，利物选手的泽利在后面的几波团战当中都是非常灵巧的走位和完美发挥，拿下了那几波团战的胜利。对于中期来说，你们是怎么样应对这样对面 RNG 一种频繁找机会做事情的压力的呢？
首先我们辅助把视野把控得很好，让我们在没有视野的情况下被对面开到。 然后打团的时候，对面这个阵容是对我是没有什么威胁的，所以说我发挥的会比较好一点。
I don't think our opponent's draft will cause a big trouble for me in team fight. And the most important thing is just because our support Miko did a great job in vision control. So because of that vision control leads, we can take this game. Final question for you. Welcome to LPL League. How do you feel about playing with Miko, who is really an experienced player? And do you feel maybe a little bit nervous playing on the stage in LPL? 那么最后一个问题也是欢迎利物选手来到 LPL。那么在加入到 EDG 之后呢，和这样一位非常经验老道的 Miko 辅助选手搭档，感觉怎么样？然后其实登上 LPL 之后，会不会觉得稍微有点紧张？
感觉每天都越打越开心。
那你自己对 EDG 的目标是怎么样的？和 Miko 选手搭档会有一些什么不一样的感觉吗？比如说他会沟通一些什么细节啊之类的。
他对线的时候还会教我玩游戏，跟我之前的辅助遇到的不一样。
Actually, the more I play the games, I will be more happy. And talking about playing with Mako, he always tell me a lot of things about in-game contents when we playing on the bot laner. Thank you so much for joining me. Congratulations to EDG once again. Back to you guys. Bye bye.